Hey y'all, I'm Sarah, and this is Apocalyptic Pep Talk, a podcast about creativity, ambition, indie publishing, and the increasingly weird experience of being an author in an algorithm-driven world. The world is on fire, but we'll keep writing anyway. Let's keep going. There is a sentence I've used to get out of writing. It's, I'm just not feeling it today. Such a lovely sentence, right? Does so much work. Sounds like wisdom. Sounds like I'm honoring my process, protecting the art, waiting for the conditions to be just right. It's a lie. A beautiful one, but still a lie. And I've told it to myself 1,000 times. This leads into today's subject, the Muse, that mythical creature who supposedly descends from the heavens to bless our manuscripts once we've been good enough to deserve her. We're talking about why waiting for her is one of the most elegant forms of self-sabotage available to a writer. I am not above this, by the way. I'm not up here preaching on high from the mountaintop. I'm down in the trenches with you. Manuscript closed, telling myself a very pretty story about why today is not a day for writing. But here's the thing I've learned in the time I've been doing this author thing, and it's not flattering. The writers who finish books are not the ones who feel inspired every day. They're the ones who show up anyway. The Muse is not a reliable narrator. She is not a work partner. She is, at best, an occasional visitor who shows up uninvited and then disappears the exact moment you sit down with time to actually write. She is a flake, y'all. A glamorous flake you cannot count on. Discipline, on the other hand, discipline shows up every time, even when you hate it. Especially when you hate it. And I, my dear Apocalypse buddies, hate it. I know a lot of us follow Becca Syme and know about Clifton Strength, so you'll understand me when I say discipline is number 29 for me. It's not my strong suit at all. Discipline sounds like homework. It sounds like somebody's very sensible aunt armed with a spreadsheet and strong opinions about your chosen career. But here's what it actually is. The thing that creates the conditions for inspiration to arrive. The Muse doesn't descend from the sky when you're staring at a blank page. Most days, if she shows up at all, it's when you're already writing. Let's sit with my number 29 for a second, because I think it's why a lot of us stay stuck. If you're anything like me, and since you're listening to Apocalyptic Pep Talk, you probably are, at least in some small way. If you are, then the word discipline makes your skin crawl. It sounds like a cage. Rules, rigidity, someone confiscating one of the precious few genuinely good things about being an indie author these days, which is that nobody gets to tell you what to do. I am a free spirit down to my bones. The fastest way to guarantee I won't do a thing is to call it mandatory. My brain treats routine like a personal insult and a dare. So here's the reframe that saved me, and I offer it to you here, my fellow chaos gremlins. Discipline isn't the cage. The blank page is the cage. The not writing is the cage. The book that lives in your head and never makes it onto the page because you were waiting to feel ready, that is the actual prison. Discipline, the kind that works for people like us, isn't grand. It's tiny. It's so small it can't trap you and can't demand your whole day or your perfect mood. And I'm going to give you the exact shape mine takes in just a minute. You don't have to love discipline. I certainly don't. You just have to stop letting your feelings about the word keep you from opening the manuscript. So what can you do when the resistance is high and your manuscript feels like a crime scene? When the whole project suddenly seems like a terrible idea you never should have started and possibly evidence that you're a giant fraud? 100 words. That's the absolute bare minimum I tell myself I have to write before I'm allowed to call it a day. That's the floor for me, not the goal, not the ideal. 100 words might not be it for you, and that's okay. It might be 1,000. It might be one sentence. Whatever your floor is, make it so small you could almost do it in your sleep. That is the entire point. Because here's what happens. You sit down to grind out your 100 words filled with attitude and possibly muttering your favorite swear word. And somewhere around word 60, something shifts. An idea you didn't know you had wanders in. A line of dialogue that's been stuck for a week suddenly unsticks. That scene that felt impossible 20 minutes ago starts, grudgingly, to cooperate. Action creates momentum. That's not just motivational poster content, y'all. It's just how this works. Most days you don't write because you're inspired, you get inspired because you're writing. So here's a quick example from my own life. There's a scene in my current serial, The Hollow Gods, a quiet, devastating one between Katya and another character that I dreaded writing for days. I kept circling it, told myself I needed to be in the exact right emotional state to write Katya falling apart with a bright smile plastered on her face. Translation, I was intimidated by it. I finally sat down, hated every word for the first 50 or 60 of them, and then the thing cracked open and poured out in a single sitting. It's one of the best scenes in the entire series. The Muse did not gently hand it to me. I dragged it off the floor by its hair while complaining the entire time. Some days 100 words turns into 5,000. Some days it remains 100 words, and bad ones at that. Both count. You showed up. You opened the manuscript. That's the whole job. And if 100 is too many on any particularly bad day, lower your floor. Write a sentence. Write one horrifically awful, terrible sentence. The number isn't sacred. The words aren't even sacred, not yet, but showing up is. Here's the part that matters if you're a free spirit type like me. A floor that small can't cage you. It doesn't ask for your whole day, your perfect mood, or your undivided immortal soul. It asks for 100 words, and then you're free. Okay, so if you listen to episode 1, you might be raising an eyebrow at me right now, or possibly your entire forehead. Because in episode 1, I sat here and told you that boredom is sacred, that you have to leave empty space, that your creativity is starving because you filled every spare second with input and your brain hasn't had room to wander in years. And now I'm telling you to sit down and write even when you don't feel a thing. Here's how the two things actually fit together. Input is the ingredients. All the stuff from episode 1 we talked about, the books, the art, the weird conversations, the living, that's you stockpiling your pantry. Boredom is where the ingredients turn into something. Boredom is where everything you've read and seen and overheard stops being other people's stuff and starts becoming yours. Because you can't write straight from input. It has to go through you first. Boredom is the going through you part where all of it collides with your particular brand of weird and comes out the other side as something that didn't exist before. So no, boredom and waiting for the muse are not the same thing. They are not even cousins. And confusing the two is how a lot of us never finish anything while feeling very spiritually justified about it. Boredom happens away from the desk. In the shower, on the walk, doing the dishes, staring out the windows at nothing. It's empty space with no agenda, and your brain does the quiet work of cooking while you're not looking. That's the inhale. The writing, that's the exhale. Waiting for the muse is something else entirely. It happens at the desk, or more accurately, in the general vicinity of the desk, while you very pointedly do not acknowledge your manuscript. It is not empty space. It's avoidance wearing a beret and a spectacular pair of boots. It's you, fully aware the work is sitting right there, refusing to touch it until you feel a particular way about it. Here's the deal. Boredom is the kitchen. It's where the ingredients become a meal. Waiting for the muse is standing in a fully stocked kitchen, dinner half prepped on the counter, refusing to turn on the stove because you're simply not in the right headspace to cook. The tell is this. Boredom isn't about your manuscript at all. You're not even thinking about the book. You're just being a person stepping away from your screens with no immediate priorities. Waiting for the muse is entirely about your manuscript, specifically the not opening of it. I've said this before, and y'all, I'm going to say it again, probably 1,000 times. The other thing I do that woos the beautiful muse is I open my manuscript before I do anything else. Before email, before the algorithm, before the internet has a chance to remind me of 17 separate things I'm supposed to be anxious about on any given day. Get the words down before you get your scroll on. That order matters more than almost anything else I do. Admittedly, this doesn't work for everyone. You might need to wipe your to-do list clean before your brain and your nervous system let you write. It might even be midnight before you get to that manuscript. I see ya, you beautiful night owls, and I adore you, but I'm a 4 a.m. girly. If you don't yet know when your peak writing time is, please give writing first thing a shot. It might just surprise you. Okay, so full disclosure, some mornings I don't even write first thing. Sometimes I just reread what I've already written. Sometimes I fix one typo and close the manuscript because there are days when I just cannot, y'all. But I open the thing. I do something, even something tiny and seemingly pathetic to me. Because the muse does not show up when you're staring at a blank page waiting for her like she's late for a date. She shows up when you're already in the room, already making a mess, already moving things around. You are not summoning her, you're just making the place look interesting enough that she might wander through. Now, before anyone reports me to the authorities for sounding like a hustle culture LinkedIn post, let me say this. Sometimes you do need to stop. Sometimes the right move is to close the laptop and not open it for a week. Burnout is real. Grief is real. The flu is real. But so are vacations and celebrations. Not all stopping has to be for the bad things. I think it's important to remind ourselves of that. Life happens in ways that have nothing to do with your word count, and pretending otherwise is its own kind of lie. Just a less attractive one. This is not a right through your nervous breakdown podcast. We are pro eyeliner, pro boundaries, and pro binge watching your favorite found family show while eating ice cream from the carton. We are pro lying on the grass staring at the stars. We are also pro balls to the wall, flat out binge writing. It's about moderation, y'all. Hustle and grind to your little heart's content, but with breaks and stuff. So how do you tell the difference between rest you actually need and avoidance you're dressing up in rest super comfy clothes? Here's my test. Rest fills you back up. You step away and a few days later you feel that itch. Ideas start whispering to you, you miss your characters, your fingers itch for the tappity tap tap of the keyboard. That's real rest. Let it happen. Protect it fiercely. Avoidance does the opposite. The longer you stay away, the worse it feels, the dread grows, the project gets scarier, not more exciting. A week off quietly becomes a month, becomes I used to write, said a little wistfully at a cocktail party. So here's the rule. If stepping away makes you lighter, it's rest. If stepping away makes you heavier, it's fear. And fear is the one thing in this whole equation that starts getting smaller the exact second you start writing. Every author you love, every book that wrecked you, every story that made you want to go write one of your own, all of them started with a writer who sat down when they didn't feel like it, who wrote badly for a while before they wrote well, who opened the manuscript on an awful day when they were tired, uninspired, wired on their current caffeine situation, and half convinced it was pointless. But they did it anyway. There was no muse standing behind them whispering sweet nothings in their ear. There never is. That's the part the beautiful lie keeps from us. It tells us that real art arrives fully formed on the wings of inspiration, and that anything we have to work for is somehow lesser. It is a story specifically designed to make you feel inferior to the writers who claim to have been swept up in the arms of the muse and lovingly spoon-fed their novels. It is extremely convincing, and it is wrong. You don't need the muse's help. You never did. You just need to open the fucking manuscript and do your thing. Okay, now exhale, unclench yourself, and let's keep going. That's another apocalyptic pep talk in the books. New episodes on Wednesdays. Bring your ambition, your existential dread, and whatever caffeine situation you currently have going on. See you next time.